can I leave now?
Yeah. I
don't know why. I feel like I normally am okay with this, but
it's okay.
the podcast style seems on so much pressure.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another video. Today's video is going to be more of like a podcasty style one. We're going to switch over to the studio in a second, and we're going to give just some tips and tricks about reselling. But before we do that, we wanted to tell you about the next 5 videos that we're going to be doing. We're doing a series of 5 videos. In each one, we're going to be giving away money, and that is thanks to a video sponsor that we've worked with in the past. The company is called Payability. Really awesome company. So you'll see an ad in each of the next 5 videos, but we wanted to give back to the community.
Yeah.
So when Payability reached out to us and they're like, hey, can we sponsor your next 5 videos? We said, yes, but we want to take that sponsorship money and basically give it back to you guys. So over the next 5 videos, we're going to be giving away a total of $2,000. $100 in this video, $200 in the next one, $300, $400, and then
$1,000.
$1,000.
I said something.
Definitely, you're about to say a lot in the podcast.
Yeah.
Definitely the biggest giveaway we've ever done. So thanks again to Payability. I'm glad that we're going to be able to hopefully change some of your guys' lives with that money. So later on in the video, we'll talk about how to enter this video's giveaway, which will be to win $100. We'll talk about that later on in the video, and then yeah, that's about it. So let's go over to the studio now and talk about some tips and tricks. All right, so we're going to talk about a bunch of different things, a bunch of tips and tricks from beginner to more advanced reselling.
Yes.
And Callie's going to kind of give us pointers on what to talk about too, because Callie's right there. She's doing the mic.
We have a planned idea, so this is going to go nice and smoothly for everybody.
Yeah, so what should we talk about first? What sort of tips and tricks should we start with?
First, we're going to talk about financial mistakes to avoid at the beginning.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that topic.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the main reasons why people fail at reselling is that they're not really able to manage their finances at the beginning.
Which is a difficult thing because most of our parents don't talk about managing your finances. They're not open with finances, and that's not something that there's a focus on, like having healthy finances in the beginning of starting literally anything, let alone your life.
And a lot of people are going from 9-to-5 jobs to starting reselling on the side as a hobby. And a lot of people haven't really had to do that. They haven't really had to, budget a spend to buy stuff and resell it and monitor, how much stuff is selling for and putting that money back into a budget and all that stuff.
And most people don't know how much to spend or how much they need to spend, but really it's simple. It's what you can.
So what's a couple things then to avoid when you first start out reselling financially?
Going to the store and spending all of your money immediately.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's a good one. So you're saying maybe learn, you could like watch YouTube videos, you could do some research on eBay or in the marketplace and learn what is currently selling, like what's currently selling in the marketplace, and do a lot of research before you go out to like a thrift store and just buy a bunch of stuff. Because I did that at the beginning. I went to a thrift store and I was like, well, Polo is expensive. Tommy's expensive. Like, I'm just going to buy everything that's out there.
And you had that mentality, well, I have an extra $200, I'll just spend it all, which was wrong because really we didn't have the knowledge and the education to spend the $200. So we spent it improperly, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So don't go and blow your entire budget on items without knowing that they are actually going to sell.
Right. It's all about your knowledge. Your knowledge makes you money. So if you don't have knowledge about that item, don't get it just because you think or feel. You should really have some type of information to back the reason for that purchase.
Sure. Another tip I think I could say is don't go straight into reselling full time. Even if you already have a large budget, it's not a good idea to just be like, I'm a full-time reseller now, quit your job and go full-time into reselling, because it's a difficult thing and you have to learn as you go.
There's a very steep learning curve, not only with what to buy, but how much it costs to ship items, how shipping goes, how you're going to manage your time with photographing the item and doing the listing. So there's a very steep learning curve. You want to start off small because you want to gain that knowledge and you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot and spend too much money, lose all your money, not be able to do anything with the products, and then you feel like a failure and you just never continue on. So we always want people to start off as a hobby regardless. And I know some people have lost their jobs and they went straight on full-time into reselling, and that's a different,
It's water.
Okay. And that's a different situation. But ideal situation, you should start it off as a hobby, gain all of the knowledge, and then work your way up, figure out what your life expenses are, how much you can make from reselling and scaling, and then making that balance.
And I would say out of the resellers that I've met, the most successful ones at the beginning that I've met, all of them have put as much money as they can back into the business for as long as they can. So if you have a 9-to-5 job and you're able to sustain your lifestyle from that 9-to-5 job, and then you resell on the side, all of the profits from reselling goes back into the reselling business, and that's how you grow really, really fast. I think another good tip too is to try to avoid credit at the beginning. A lot of people don't really know how to manage credit cards and using credit to leverage sales. I think as you get further in your lives and your careers in reselling, then you can start to leverage credit. Like now in our business, 99% of how we buy stuff is on credit, but we're paying it off immediately. So we're leveraging credit purely for points and benefits to get back.
And you don't want to bank on the hope that that item will sell
Yeah.
for you to get the money, or you're going to have to pay interest on that item, right? You don't want to increase the cost of your goods.
Start small is basically what we're saying. Like you don't need a huge budget to start reselling. If you have a couple $100, that's how we started, with a couple $100. So if you have a couple $100, or if you win the $100 from this video, you could take that and use that as your initial reselling budget, buy a couple things that flip fast, and then take that profit and just put it straight back into the business and buy more and more stuff. You're taking your profits and you're compounding it back into your business. And that's, like I said, that's how you can grow the fastest.
Yeah, because in the beginning, we literally lost $200. Imagine if we started with $10,000, no knowledge.
I don't know.
Would have lost
we
$10,000.
$200,
So, well, Ryan lost $200.
I mean, maybe I lost $200. I saw it different. But what's some other stuff we can talk about? Callie, give us another topic.
Places to source from?
Ooh, places to source from.
That's a fun one.
I think that's everybody's initial question when they first start is, where do I source stuff from? The first thing I would do is say go to garage sales and estate sales in your area. If they're still on, if they're still available, that's the first place that I would start, because I think that that's still the place where you can get items for the cheapest and make the most money. So the biggest margin, buying something for $1 and selling it for $100, that still happens at garage sales and estate sales.
Next would be thrift stores.
Yeah, I think thrift stores are getting a little bit harder to source from.
But not everywhere, just most places.
Yeah, I mean, like it or not, Goodwill, places like Goodwill, they know they can get more money for certain things, and they have started to raise their prices on items.
And they sell online.
And they do auctions in some places. So thrift stores are definitely still a good place to source from, but I think the days of 100% making like a living sourcing from thrift stores, I think those days are coming to an end.
They are.
But still, you could still get some really good stuff from thrift stores. What about auctions?
Yep, there's auctions. You can do online auctions. You can go to a physical auction. You can do storage units.
There's websites like auctionzip.com where you can go to a website like that and type in your zip code, and then it'll tell you what auctions are going on in your local area. That's where I would start. My favorite type of auctions to go to are seizure auctions. So like police seizure auctions, where they sell everything that they've seized basically over the whatever course of time. And then government surplus auctions, I like those ones too, because as the government like spends a new budget that comes in, they get rid of all their old stuff basically. So you can go to one of those auctions and buy all this old equipment that still sells for good money, and flip it like that. So
also, you can source from your family and friends. A lot of people have family and friends that want to just get rid of a bunch of stuff, and you could just say, all right, I'll just take it all from you so that they don't have to deal with it. You can sort through it, figure out what you can sell through like Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, Letgo, whichever one works better in your area, which more than likely is Facebook Marketplace, so you can sell stuff locally.
Right.
You can lot a bunch of stuff up together and just sell it in bulk, and then you can turn around and use that money to buy more appropriate items for online. Or if you get some good items from them, you can sell them online.
And then there's also stuff like wholesale, working with the distributors and liquidation pallets and Amazon returns and stuff like that. That's more advanced. Once you have built up a nice little budget, then you can start getting into these, larger and larger buys. But one thing that I would avoid when first starting outsourcing is don't think that you're going to be a millionaire drop shipping or buying, $30,000 worth of AliExpress or Alibaba products.
Or even pallets.
Yeah, like you got to be careful with stuff like that. And I've seen a lot of people get burned doing that. They see like a get rich quick scheme You may have seen one actually before this video, if there's an ad before this video.
Yeah, it's
They like
annoying.
to-
Those ads
they
are on
like-
our videos.
But stick to, I just think, especially when you first start, stick to tangible. I have this item in my hand. I know what it's worth. I can sell it, and then I can ship it to my buyer. That's true. Yeah, auctions, that's a good point, Callie. Auctions are a good place to meet other sellers. And we've met people at auctions before where it's like all they do is buy and sell computer parts.
That's it.
That's it. But they come across vintage t-shirts all the time, or they come across shoes all the time, and they'll reach out to us and say, hey, I found this really good deal. Do you want to give me 10% over what they're asking? And, you can have it. So networking with people is massive. That's a good point, Callie. Yeah.
Shipping tips.
Shipping tips. I feel like, Callie, come sub in for shipping tips, actually.
Callie.
Can you see me?
Oh. Oh.
No pressure.
What am I supposed to say?
Sure.
I mean, you can go to USPS.com and get free shipping supplies, like their padded flat rate envelopes. They have, they've got priority shoe boxes that you can ship tons of stuff in, not just shoes. They have flat rate envelopes that are not padded. You can use those. They have all kinds of free supplies on there that you can get.
It would be fair to say that USPS.com has a plethora of boxes in all different shapes and sizes that are free for you to use, and they basically have different options, right? So they have their, if it fits, it ships, for the most part, single price.
Right.
Always
flat
around,
rates.
yep, they're flat rates. And then they have, these are the free boxes, but they're priority mail. So you're paying a priority mail price.
Right.
But that comes with insurance on it, which is a nice thing because we know the post office is very good at losing and or damaging boxes.
That is true.
Yes.
How about shipping outside of eBay? Let's say you sell something on, Instagram, or if you just want to ship something outside of eBay that you've sold.
You can use like goshippo.com or pirateship.com. You can even buy your own labels on USPS.com. So there's plenty of sources available to do that.
And you can buy labels through PayPal, which are
Or
discounted.
through PayPal. But it's good to check all of those sites out to see where you're going to save the most money, because it might be cheaper to ship something that's very small but super heavy through pirate ship, but it might cost a ton more to ship through a different service. So you really just need to look into everything. Don't just see the first price that comes up and pay for that, because you might be wasting $20.
And this is knowledge people will gain, right? Like, whenever you need to ship something, generally for the most part, what you're going to use, and you'll compare between two because you know what you won't use.
Right.
Yeah.
Would you say, like, by far the most expensive way to ship would be going, like, into the post office or into FedEx and being like, hey, can you ship this item for me? Or buying labels, like, at the post office?
Yeah, buying your own labels at the post office is probably going to be way too expensive. I see people all the time when I go to the post office and they're packaging up their stuff, and I see what boxes they're picking, which is very limited at the post office. So if you don't bring your own box, you might end up using a box that's 2 times too big because that's the only thing it fits in. And then you're having to pay for that circumference of the box too.
Circumference.
I used a big word. But I mean, like, I see stuff like that where I'm like, she should take that to FedEx.
True.
Because it would be cheaper to ship through FedEx.
It's like
versus,
significantly cheaper
yeah.
too.
But
Yeah.
I think the more you do the shipping, the better you become at it, and the more you know, like, I should list this with this shipping because that's going to be the best thing for it.
Cool.
I don't know. Does that make sense, people?
Good.
Yeah, like instead of 3 to 5 day priority, you'd want to do FedEx ground.
Yeah.
Right. So you have enough time and you're not going over your handling time and all that stuff. You don't want to get a shipping delay ding.
Let me move that back. How we doing? Check.
How you doing?
So I think the next tips we want to talk about is we want to talk about like time management in your business and schedule tips, because again, it's new for a lot of people doing this outside of your 9 to 5. Typically you have like a boss telling you what to do. You have certain tasks that you are required to do. And then when you start reselling, you're like, oh, I don't know. What do I do? I just wake up and go source every single day and then have a death pile and sell nothing, right? I think that setting a schedule when you first start is really important because there's only so much time in the day. And if you do have another job as well, you want to be able to make sure that you're cutting off as well, so you have more time to spend with your friends and family and you don't burn out. We're going to talk about burnout later in this video as well, but that's a big thing, seeing people that don't have a schedule. You just end up working 24/7, and that's not what we want you to do.
Right. We want you to have a schedule so you can more effectively use your time.
Yeah.
Yes, because if you don't have a schedule, you could get scatterbrained and you don't know what you're doing, when you're doing it, how you're doing it, and it's just going to be all over the place. So so you're effectively using your time.
So there's kind of three different aspects to this business. There's other stuff, but there's three main things. There's sourcing, there's listing, and there's shipping, right? Other than that, those are the three main components to being a reseller.
Right. Right.
So you can break that up into, okay, these are the days that I want to source, and then I'm going to source from this time to this time. Setting a schedule, like a route for yourself, does help too. So you can go, okay, these are the thrift stores that I want to go to on Tuesday. It takes me 3 hours to go hit all of those thrift stores. When I get there, I'm going to go look at the shoes, the electronics, the jackets, the t-shirts, and then I'm going to move on to the next store. Something like that, like an actual schedule, around sourcing. You have to have a schedule. And then mix it up too. So, maybe on the weekends you go to garage sales or you go to a couple auctions, but you still want to time manage that as well. So sourcing, I typically tell people, maybe source 3 to 4 days a week if you can, if you have the time to do that. That's usually a good, breakdown.
Right.
And then so sourcing next is listing. That's probably the part that most people don't like. Right?
No.
Listing, I'm talking taking the pictures, getting the measurements if you're doing clothing, composing the listings, putting them on eBay or Poshmark or Mercari, or doing your FBA shipments and getting them shipped out to Amazon. That's all, all listing encompasses. Again, it's a time frame thing. You want to time yourself and go, okay, I'm going to switch everything off and I'm going to see how many items I can list from beginning to end in an hour. See, with no other distractions, what's the fastest you can list? And obviously you'll get better at it as time goes on. But
we guarantee you cannot multitask when you are listing. Okay. That is a proven scientific, fact. You can't. So what you need to do whenever you do a listing to do it most efficiently is you need to have zero distractions. Don't look at other things. Don't do other things. Do your full listing and figure out how long it takes you to do a full listing. And then you can average that out. So Some people it might be 10 minutes. Some people it's 15 minutes. If you get really good, you can get down to 5 minutes for a listing.
Yeah, and you want to
Most people aren't though.
you want to break it up into manageable tasks as well. So all your focus for the first hour will be on taking pictures and doing measurements. That's all you're doing, taking pictures. And then the second hour will be actually listing the items, doing your research and putting them on eBay. So break it up into manageable tasks so that it's not, I'm taking a picture on my phone of this one item and then I'm doing my research on that one item and then I'm listing that one item. Doing it that way, you're going to be a lot slower than having your system set up and just knocking out pictures. Do 20 items in an hour. And then all you're doing is listing for the next hour,
Yeah. And it's okay if you want to save all of those listings just so you can get them up as drafts and then do the pricing all together at one point.
Yeah.
If doing the pricing is very difficult for you, at the end of making the listing, make all of your listings, save them as drafts, and then price them all in a row. Yeah. That, you got to manage your time and doing everything in different tasks.
And then same with shipping, right? So shipping, you'll get faster and faster as you go. I know when Callie first started working with us, she was probably a lot slower at shipping than she is now. Now I can see her, ship out 50 things in an hour sometimes because she knows how to utilize the bulk shipping feature. She has all of her supplies set, ready to go there. She knows
we
what
save
to grab.
packing supplies so that Callie has so many to choose from. You have this plethora, I love that word, of shipping supplies. You have something weird and awkward, you can go and grab a box and then you can just shove all of your extra puffs and bubble wrap and paper and foam, everything in there, and then boom, it's shipped out. Use a little extra so it doesn't get broken. The last thing you want is for something to get broken. Spend the extra $2 when you're shipping so it doesn't.
But yeah, so scheduling out your time and tracking what you're doing is important. Make sure that you're actually keeping track of how much time you're spending on reselling, because what if you spend 10 hours on reselling and you're only making $50 net at the end of the week? Then you're only making $5 an hour. Is it really worth it, right? Well, all I'm saying is know your value, know your worth, know your value, because there'll be people that'll resell for years, and maybe they are enjoying it. Maybe it's not all about the money, which it isn't. That's true, but at the end of the day, there's better things you can be doing sometimes. If you're not good at reselling, it's okay. You don't have to be a reseller. There's other things you can do to make money. Go, drive Uber, or go deliver groceries. There's other things you can do if you want to make extra money.
That's why we recommend in the beginning starting off small, starting off with less money, because you have to gain that knowledge. And there is so much knowledge to be gained, right? The items that you're buying, how much it's going to cost to ship the items that, in your area that you can get a hold of and are worth money and are worth reselling, and then the whole shipping side of things. Right. So there's a couple of different aspects, which is why you should start small, because you have so much to learn. And in the beginning, you will not make good money. In the beginning, it is a steep learning curve, and just look at it as training.
Yeah, true.
But as soon as you learn...
Pay training.
Yeah, and then you get past that point, then, you'll start making money. But if you're not making money after you have all of the knowledge, then that's whenever you need to reconsider.
What would you say to people that are doing this out of their homes for time management? Because I think for me, I would have a hard time because the TV's there, the kitchen's there,
distractions.
Home,
yeah.
Animals or children running around.
Right.
How do you manage that? I mean, I know you don't have kids, but you've got your dogs, and you used to work out of the house.
Yeah. I actually, for me, that's super difficult. For me, there's too many distractions to work from home. We did do it for the first year. We did work from home, and we did fine with it. Yeah. But I would when I was listing stuff, I would lock myself away and just be like, hey, I can't deal with anything else right now. I'm going to be in here listing. Leave me alone.
Right. You have to focus all of your energy on what you're doing to do it most efficiently and effectively.
But let's say you
could
get...
even go to get all your pictures taken.
That's
and
what I was
leave.
going to say. Yeah. You could go do it from Starbucks. No, it's a good point.
You should go to the library.
Go somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a public library with Wi-Fi.
Yeah, library is good. McDonald's has free Wi-Fi. Starbucks has free Wi-Fi. Panera Bread has free Wi-Fi. You can use those as little mini offices. So I think the next thing we should talk about, which is, I think it's so important when it comes to reselling, because not a lot of resellers talk about it, and it's a huge thing, right? It's how to avoid burnout. Burnout's real for every reseller we've ever talked. I've never talked to another reseller, especially full-time resellers, that haven't said at some point in their careers they've just been completely burned out and they struggle to get through it.
It happens in life with everything.
Yes.
That's natural.
It's happened to us a lot. Sometimes people are like, well, you guys are just go 24/7. How do you do it? And the answer is we didn't always, right? We've had to learn. We've had to burn out to learn how to get through that burnout. And I'm in the camp of I don't like when people say you have to work 24/7. I don't like when people are go do your 9-to-5 job and then come home and work another 10 hours and then wake up early in the morning and don't get enough sleep, don't get enough exercise, and just work 24/7. I know that's a big, it's a thing that Gary Vee said over the years, and Gary Vee's been a huge influence in a positive way, and I think in a negative way a little bit on resellers, where a lot of resellers are well, if I just put in, all of my life into doing this task, then I can just make a bunch of money and I'll be happy. But at the end of the day, if all you're doing is working, you're going to burn out eventually. You're not going to be able to sustain that. And your happiness is going to suffer. Your relationships are going to suffer. Your mental health is going to suffer. And it's really unhealthy.
You need to decompress, and you need to find that thing that works for you to decompress.
So how to avoid burnout then?
Time management.
Yeah, time management I think is a big one. I think maybe, it's hard to kind of get away and take vacations right now. But even if you can't go away somewhere, you could still say, maybe today I'm not doing anything. I'm going to work really hard this week, and then on Saturday and Sunday, I'm just not going to do anything. We actually have always done that in our business. We don't work Saturdays and Sundays except for going to garage sales. And we've done that on purpose because most of our friends have traditional 9-to-5 jobs. And if we didn't do that, if we worked all weekend, we wouldn't really have time to hang out with our friends.
Right. So we make sure that we call Sunday lazy Sunday and we do something very fun and we do no work. I mean, Saturday morning when we go garage selling, that's not really work. That's really fun and enjoyable for us. So I definitely don't mind doing that on a Saturday. If we didn't like garage selling, I don't know if we would do it, you know? So we look at that as a fun activity for us to do together that we enjoy, and it brings us happiness and it's fun at the end of that activity.
Or maybe one day you just do nothing and you sit there and you binge a Netflix show. I don't see anything wrong with that. Sometimes doing that's like just escaping into something or playing a video game for a while. As long as you're not doing that every single day, I don't see anything wrong with that.
And maybe you do have to schedule in your fun time and literally call it your fun time if you want to. I mean, you need to schedule into your life the fact that your mental health is important, and you have to recognize that without taking care of yourself mentally, you will burn out. So if you have to schedule that in, do it. Schedule it in. Make sure everybody knows, like, this is my fun time. This is my fun day. We can go do fun things, or I'm just going to sit around and do nothing. Right. But be vocal about it. Communicate that to the other people in your life so that everybody is aware that that time is important and this is why it's important. You know, communication.
Yeah, we don't have kids, right? But it's really important if you have a family to make sure that you're turning off and like giving time to your family as well. You know, I've one of my friends who is also a reseller. He went through that recently where he was like, okay, well, I've had to set a schedule now because what I was doing is I was getting home from work and then I wasn't even paying attention to my kids and I was going straight into reselling. And then by the time that it was their bedtime, they were in bed and I didn't even see them. Yeah. So that's terrible to take away from your really important stuff because money isn't important at the end of the day. It's those relationships that are much more important.
And we know you're doing it for your family, and there are sacrifices that you have to make for your family so that whenever they get older, you've put, that financial security in place. But also your child's mental health when they're young, they're a bit more delicate. So they need to see you as a parent there with them, and you want to instill healthy habits in them as well, so that whenever they get older, they make healthy life choices.
So just don't overwork yourself. Honestly, the easiest way to avoid burnout is to stop working so much. Like, you don't have to do it. And if it takes you, a year longer to achieve your goals and still be mentally stable at the end of that year, that's a lot better than trying to cram it all into 3 months and then going insane.
And then let's talk about those lazy people out there. You lazy people.
Oh yeah, you guys get back to work.
You guys need to schedule in.
Yeah. How about put that remote controller down and get off of video games and actually get some work done. That's true.
Yeah, you might have to schedule, or instead of scheduling fun time, you might have to limit your fun time, that you only get X amount of hours a day of lazy bum time, if you want to call it, your fun time, your bum time. Oh, I like that. Your fun bum time. Yeah.
You know who you are. You know what I mean? Like, if you step back and actually look at yourself, you can tell what type of person you are. If you're overworking, take a break a little bit. If you're being lazy, like Ali said, just own it and be like, let's fix this, But yeah, definitely to avoid burnout, I would say setting yourself a schedule is a big one. Getting the right amount of sleep, I think, is probably one of the biggest ones.
Sleep is very, very important. Read some sleep studies about why it's important.
And just something like an hour of exercise a day and 8 hours of sleep a night, that'll change your life right there.
Yes. Yeah, guys, make good choices. Yeah. Drink enough water, get enough sleep, try to exercise a little bit. Water. We now interrupt this video for a quick commercial break.
So I wanted to introduce you to Payability. They're a financial toolkit for e-commerce businesses. Since 2016, they provided over $3.5 billion worth of funding to e-commerce sellers. Their team is laser focused on empowering online sellers with the funding they need to grow and scale their businesses faster. They provide fast, flexible funding based on previous sales history, not based on credit. And they work with sellers selling on Amazon, Walmart, Shopify, eBay managed payments. And their primary model, how they help sellers out, is they provide accelerated payouts to these e-commerce sellers. So for people paid on a delay, like Amazon, for example, does payouts every couple weeks, for those type of e-commerce sellers who need the capital up front, that's where Payability steps in, and that's where they're perfect for those sellers. They also provide capital advances to sellers, so you can take that money and then put it into more inventory, more purchases if you don't have the capital available. And again, Payability approval is based on your past sales account health. They don't do any credit checks, and it only takes 24 hours to get approval. So that's Payability. If you're interested at all, I'll leave a link in the description of this video. If you do end up using their service through us, you get a $250 sign-on bonus. So that's nice too. So I think how we should kind of end today's vlog is talking about once you've started reselling, once you've got into it a little bit more, how do you scale up, right? How do you go from taking it from a hobby to an actual legitimate business? So we wanted to give, because I know there's a mixture of people from beginners to advanced resellers who watch this channel, and we wanted it to be kind of a blueprint of this is how to start and some things to avoid. And now that you have a good system in place, how do you scale up?
Right. And we talked about other things that we really want you to have in place before you start scaling up, because if you don't have a schedule, if you're scatterbrained and all over the place, it's going to be very difficult to scale up, right? Because you don't have a system in place here. And for businesses to scale, they figure out systems that are functional and work for them and effective, and then they scale up. Businesses don't just scale up when everything's in chaos. I mean, maybe in unique situations, but that's not going to be a very long-term way to run a business.
So I think one of the easiest ways to scale up, in my opinion, is to eliminate the tasks that you hate doing. So for us, when we started to scale our business, that was shipping and listing, photography, and we hired a Cali.
Right. And remember, when we were shipping every day and we had to go in, it took away the opportunity for us to go out and find more things. So we knew that by doing the shipping ourselves, we were limiting ourselves to the capacity to increase the growth.
Right. Right. So how our scaling worked is the first thing we did is we kind of maxed out what we could do from home by ourselves. Once we had maxed that out, there was really there was nothing else we could do past a certain point. That's when we said, okay, let's get a small warehouse, not overextending ourselves, not putting the rent on credit, making sure that the business could afford to do that. Get a small,
affordable warehouse.
And just doing that, getting that space, that allowed us to scale as well. Because now we could buy bigger things, we could buy more stuff. So adding the rent of having a warehouse made sense at that point because we were able to scale 10 times above what we were doing out of the house.
Right. So instead of making $2,000 that month, we were spending an extra $1,000 on rent and making $5,000 to $6,000.
And then, like Ali said, once we had that ready, then we had to go, okay, we don't have time anymore to do the shipping. We don't have time to do the listing. Or we can help with it, but we need help in those places so that we can leave this warehouse and go sourcing, find more stuff. So that's when we hired Callie part-time to begin with. She came in and just helped take pictures and get stuff listed, and that gave us that free time to go and get more stuff. So that whole thing together, it cost us money getting the warehouse, and it cost us money hiring Callie, but I would say about a month to 2 months in, we had scaled up to the point where it was paying for that. It made it worth it. So then where do you find the stuff to scale? I think is probably one of the biggest questions that people ask. And it goes back to networking, I think, with people. Go to those auctions and make those connections, do that networking, and really just put it in the work. No reseller, no legitimate reseller is going to give you their wholesale connections. I'm not just going to be like, here's the wholesalers that we use, go and buy from them. That doesn't make sense for us. It doesn't make sense for you because you're just going to, get lazy.
And that's the hardest thing you will ever do is find a wholesaler.
Yeah.
That is the hardest thing as a reseller to do is find someone to wholesale to you.
Yeah, but once you have that connection, you can really start to fine tune it as well. Sometimes it's just like finding a couple people, a couple wholesalers, and buying some stuff from them, spending some money, seeing what works and what doesn't work, and then scaling up from there. That's why you have to have a budget in place. You have to have a business running already to be able to take that capital and start to experiment with it. One thing that I will say as well is as you start to scale, your systems also change a little bit. You want to make sure that you have like a good inventory system in place. You want to make sure that you do stuff like form an LLC in your state. Make sure that you have a good CPA or bookkeeper. Make sure that you're, paying your taxes the right way. You have to start looking into health insurance and retirement plans, and there's all these other things that come along with scaling as well. So you have to start building an actual business. And then the other thing as well that a lot of people forget to do when they start to scale is you have to structure things so that the business can run without you there. So you have to be the manager. You have to put yourself in a manager role and say, if I left the business for a month, would it still make money?
You're going to have to learn how to delegate.
Yeah, which is the hardest thing that I've had to learn, is how to delegate. I think I've gotten a lot better with, the nitty gritty stuff. I still have a difficult time delegating certain things, but that's something that takes a long time to learn if you have a certain personality type.
Yeah, it could be a control issue for a lot of people.
Yeah, but as you grow, that is an important thing for sure. Is you want to run it like a business, not a job. Big difference. A job is I go in and do these tasks. Owning a business is I don't have to be there. The business will run itself. So, and I think that's probably where we'll end the tips and tricks for today's video. We could go on for hours talking about this stuff.
I hope you learned a lot. And in addition to this, right, let's say you've gotten to that point where you're scaling and you're doing great, and maybe this wasn't like crazy useful information for you because you're really advanced and maybe this is a bit more beginner. Just go back and look at things and make sure you are doing, fun time for yourself, and you are communicating with everyone effectively and letting them know these times are valuable for me. This is why. Can you help me make sure that we on Sunday, let's say it's Sunday afternoon, we always do something fun together. We hang out, or we have like Wednesday nights where we just chill together and watch some TV together. So just make sure that you do go back and you have these things implemented so that you can really grow without beating yourself up.
True. So then now let's talk about how to win this $100 giveaway.
Money!
So this giveaway is actually going to be super simple. All you have to do, there's a couple things you have to do. One, you must be subscribed to our YouTube channel. 2, you have to hit the thumbs up button on this video. And then 3, we want you to leave a comment explaining why you deserve the $100, basically. You don't even have to be a reseller. You don't have to say you're going to take it and go make $1,000 from it. We just want you to do a little story, type out a reason why the $100 should be yours. And how we're going to pick a winner is whichever comments below gets the most thumbs ups on it, votes from you guys. You go vote on your favorite comment, and then the one with the most thumbs ups gets the $100, and we'll PayPal it directly to you.
There you go. So we're not biased at all. It's like a vote.
It's like a vote, not our decision. It's the community's decision. That's the whole point of these next 5 videos, is giving back as much as we can to you guys. So again, this video is for $100. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel, because the next 4 videos, we're also going to be giving away money.
$200, $300, $400, $1,000.
It should be fun. We have some really cool stuff planned, and yeah, I'm excited about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. We appreciate it. Thanks again to Payability for sponsoring this series.
Yeah. I hope that you've learned something.
Yeah.
And you make a good change for yourself in life.
Yes. And we love you all, and we appreciate you watching. Thanks so much. Callie, thanks for doing videos and jumping in for shipping tips. We'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Ryan Roots.
I'm Ralli Roots.
And together we are Ralli Roots. Peace out, everybody. Bye.